Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we're at Questions, Coffee, and Cars 169.
169.
How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Now, before we get started, the tire contest from Nitto Tire for the Motivo 365 Performance All-Weather Tires, it actually ended on Saturday. But I asked them, I said, can you keep the entries open until Friday? So if you haven't entered, this is your last chance. I'm not going to say it again. Click on the link in the description below. Enter in the United States and Canada, because who doesn't want to win a free set of tires?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they are expensive tires these days, so good luck to you.
Free is good.
And make sure you register.
All right, so your questions from Instagram.
Greetings from the New Jersey Shore. I've narrowed down my choices to either a 2025 Subaru Outback Touring or a Mazda CX-50 Turbo Premium Plus. My daily commute is 100 miles round trip. Wow, that's a lot of driving. Mostly highway driving, which is the better choice.
Well, the timing on this is kind of good and bad because when this comes out, just either today or tomorrow at the New York Auto Show, they're actually going to show, you could go from New Jersey to the New York Auto Show, go to the Javits Center, and you can see the new Outback. It's going to be shown while the auto show is on. That's not a little day trip on the weekend. Go down and check it out. So we're talking about the existing Outback versus the Mazda CX-50.
You got it.
So which one are they talking about? The turbo version?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to say about the Outback that's going to be announced for 2026. The rumor is, so we have to wait and see what it looks like, is going to have a boxier design. It's going to be more like an SUV.
That's all internet speculation.
It is speculation. However, that is the rumor. So I will be curious to see. I think some will be disappointed if that is the case because they really like the wagon vibe with the Outback.
Okay, Andrea, let's do a 3, 2, 1. You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Outback.
Subaru.
And I'll tell you
I can't believe that Andrea isn't, as the Mazda fangirl, isn't going for the Outback.
Okay, so the reason why I'm picking Outback is because you say you do a lot of highway driving. First off, you're going to find the Outback to be more comfortable. You're also going to like that 2.4-liter turbocharged boxer engine, 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque.
Seats are more comfortable, and the other thing is that the positive and the negative, it has a continuously variable transmission, the CVT.
It does.
So the downside is that it's got a CVT, and some people just don't like that. The good news is Subaru makes a good one of the bunch. It's one of the better ones. And also it's going to return better fuel economy on the highway because it does have a CVT. And I just like the more pure wagon look. I mean, the Mazda, sorry, you're from New Jersey. The Mazda is close to a wagon, but I just think the Outback is, as Andrea mentioned, the current one is more pure wagon.
More pure wagon, but also just more comfortable than the CX-50. Those seats are a little bit short. You may not find that it offers enough thigh support and firmer. Good news is with the CX-50, which Zach and I noticed in our recent review, is we had the base model with cloth seats, and for whatever reason, they're not as firm. So
also
just
the Outback,
so you know,
the cargo space in the Outback is enormous. I mean, when you look at a brand who's been doing the same thing forever, so I think the Outback came out as a legacy wagon in the early 90s. So the legacy wagon was around for a long time. And then it morphed into Outback and they got rid of legacy wagon. You know, they've been perfecting it. They know what they're doing.
it looks quirky, so you got to like the look of it too. When will you
This is
be
why
driving?
Andrea likes me.
When will you be driving the 2025 Tiguan? What are your expectations of it? And will you be attending the New York Auto Show? Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, we're doing Tiguan.
We're doing Tiguan the third week of May.
Yeah, so about a month. In about a month from now, we'll be getting the Tiguan. We're going to that. Don't you worry, we'll get our hands on the Tiguan.
We're really looking forward to Tiguan. We saw it at the LA Auto Show, and it looks so good. So looking forward to driving that one.
And it's got more power. It's got 201 horsepower now, up from 184. So that's also welcome. New York Auto Show. Okay, you lay it on everybody about us not going to the Javits Center.
Unfortunately, we are not going to the New York Auto Show this year. We have a personal commitment that we just need to be here for. So it's too bad because there's lots of unveilings, but we'll watch it from the sidelines this year.
We were, funnily enough, invited by Subaru.
We were.
To go and have a look at the new Outback.
Yeah.
But yeah, can't do it this year. Can't be everywhere. The problem with us is it's just two of us.
It's only two of us for now.
Easy.
For now.
Is Andrea telegraphing she's getting rid of me?
Oh, no, never, never. But, we may expand the channel and...
Okay, I'm glad you eased into this, Andrea.
Yeah.
I didn't see this coming at all today.
No.
This was not on my questions, coffee, and cars bingo card for today.
Yeah.
Was talking about the channel in the future, but let us know what you guys think. There are a lot of programs that happen throughout the year, and we just can't go to all of them.
We can't be there for everything.
And then Andrea and I like to go on the really good ones. No, I'm joking. But
We
not
go
really.
on-
We go on everybody's. Yeah. Right now we go on everybody's, but we just physically can't do it all. It's exhausting.
Every week on a plane.
It's hard on the body. It is hard on the body. Sitting on airplanes. If you're a frequent flyer and you're on and off airplanes all the time, right below, tell us how much pain it is to do that every week. And so we're thinking what, Andrea?
Well, we're thinking of adding some journalists to the channel who like to do reviews, who know lots about cars, and maybe have them come on board to alleviate some of the pressure that we're feeling at times, being on the road all the time. Zach and I, it's our brand to do a couple car reviews, so we will never split up where he goes and I go, and we do it separately. Our brand is the couple car review.
She can't get rid of me.
So we're always together.
I wrote that in the contract.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, you wrote it in the contract. No, we're always together. We do the reviews together, and we want it to stay that way. But we're okay with adding maybe a few different people, and then the boys seem interested in doing maybe one video a month, and you guys were amazing with the Motormouth Bros and your positive comments because they read them all. It was their first
All
video.
their friends read them all.
All their
More
friends
importantly, all their
read
friends
them.
read them all.
So I just want to thank you for
Being
your,
kind.
and just how positive you guys were about it. And it really made them feel good about themselves and that they would be interested in doing another video.
If we could get Jack, the oldest, first of all, a driver's license, and then get him up to speed on cars, he could be the guy who does all of those trips. But the thing is, here's the way it really happens. This is a behind the curtain kind of thing.
Yeah.
We get an invite from a company and they say, hey, we want you to come and drive X car and it's going to be in this location, and we accept the invite, right? And we're really true to our word. If we commit to the first one, we go to the first one.
Yeah.
Because sometimes a better trip comes up or a better car for our audience or whatever, but you know what? We've committed to that.
Yeah.
And this is the honest truth. In some weeks, I don't know why these car companies can't figure this stuff out and talk to each other. There can be 4 or 5 different events in 1 week, and we're just us. So we can maybe go from one to another and do 2 of them, but there's maybe 2 or 3 others we just can't cover. So we're hoping that we can have a bit of a roster of people. We can say, hey, listen, Zork and Drea, we can't go, but here's Sally or Bob or whomever it is, and they can go and cover it.
Yes, and they will know things about cars unlike our boys,
Yeah.
but they will get better at it.
They will get better. They'll learn. The interesting thing is that vanity is a really powerful motivator, and they are going to get to the point where they go, well, we really don't want to look like we don't know anything about cars.
Yes.
So they'll start brushing up.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, as they get in more and more cars, they'll see the high and low points of each.
And then I said to them, did you add fuel economy and pricing at the end of the video? And they said, no.
We forgot.
We didn't do that. We forgot.
Actually-
and I said, you have to do it. You had it. I said, you had all the information there. I know, Mom.
And the other thing is that, okay, here's the way it went down.
They're good boys.
They are good. They went out in the car, and because I set up all the technical stuff, getting the cameras and the lights and the microphones and everything ready.
Yeah.
So because if anything happened and all that, and something stopped working, I needed to be nearby. So if you
Yes.
look at the video, very closely, you can see me driving this car behind.
Yeah.
And they did have one time where the camera stopped and they phoned me, and we got it going again. So they're doing their video in the car. And then I get home and I put all the footage into the computer and I look at it and I said to them, you forgot to say a goodbye, like to wrap it all up.
Yes.
So
they had to go back out and do it again before Charlie left for Australia.
So these are all the little things that they will learn.
Yes.
There you go.
I've read that the current tariffs in Canada apply to vehicles from the U.S. that do not comply with CUSMA, which is the Canadian-U.S.-Mexico agreement. Any chance you could dumb that down a shade for people who have no idea what that means or what vehicles are affected? Do you want to start?
Okay, so CUSMA is the Canadian way of saying USMCA, the Mexico-Canada agreement, whatever it's called, north or south. I'm sure the Mexicans have a different one.
Maybe, yeah.
But so the way it's worked is Donald Trump has put 25% on tariffs of cars that are not made in the United States. So all of the cars that are made in Canada and Mexico coming into the United States will be tariffed. The Canadian countermeasure to that was we're putting a 25% on cars that do not qualify under this trade agreement.
Yeah.
And so what that will mean is cars that have not enough content, either Mexican or Canadian content in the car to qualify. But there is a sliding scale. The more Mexico and Canadian content that is in the car that is made in the United States, the lower the tariff will be. If the car, for example, and the reason why they did this is because they went after Tesla. Tesla is almost all entirely made in the United States. So they would have a very small component that either comes from Mexico or Canada, therefore they'll be whacked at the full 25%.
So at least 75% of components of that vehicle have to be from the U.S., Mexico, or Canada. So it is a little bit tricky.
The way the Canadians are doing it is they're excluding the U.S. ones. They're
Yes.
just saying Canada and Mexico. That's the way I read it anyway.
So under this agreement, it should be zero tariffs. But we know with President Trump, sometimes things change daily. But for now, you've got things like the Honda Civic, the Honda CR-V, the Toyota RAV4, Lexus NX and RX, Chrysler Pacifica, Acura ADX, and then Chevrolet, the Equinox EV and the Blazer EV are both made in Mexico. So all of those should be exempt today of tariffs.
One thing you've got to remember is it's very hard, like these origins of content is what they call it, and they go through basically every part of the car, whether it came from. But the thing is, you could have, say you had a water pump, where the housing for the water pump was made in Mexico, but the impeller that goes into it was made in the United States or from Canada.
Yeah.
So you actually have to go through all of these components and say where they came from, what's the percentage in the car, and calculate it all out, which is why these counter tariffs and tariffs actually don't think have really started yet, because they got to figure all that out. But for example, I'm just picking Volkswagen because they have a big assembly plant in Alabama, right? No, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga,
yeah,
Tennessee.
I just got it mixed up. Chattanooga. So that's quite deep in the south, right? We were at an event there when they actually opened the factory for the first time.
Yeah.
It was brand new. When you go to a brand new car factory, everything's fresh and clean. Doesn't last. And they went through and they showed a map. And I'm bringing this up because it was very clear to me. And they showed a map of all of the parts distribution that they have. And most of it was southern US, and a big chunk of it was Mexico, because they also have a big plant in Puebla in Mexico. And so I would suspect that an Atlas, even though it might not be 75%, parts from Mexico would probably be pretty high.
Yeah.
And then the big problem is, like, for example, say a BMW engine and transmission are shipped from Germany and then put in an X5 in the Carolinas and then shipped to Canada. Maybe all of those parts that are in the engine and the transmission don't qualify.
True.
So the shell and the body and the suspension and everything is all maybe sourced in the United States or wherever. So these are all the calculations that have to happen.
But it's also going to be so tricky for these manufacturers to try and figure all that out. And then how will they be influenced by the tariffs? So, like I said, things change. I know that GM is doing an evaluation of all of their vehicles to see where all of those parts come from. So I think we have to wait and see. And I believe that it's always moving.
Okay.
Like things tend to change, right?
So one thing, so you wanted a simple distillation of what's going on. It isn't simple.
No.
It's basically clear as mud. And Andrew and I have been reading up on this stuff every day. And every time I read it from one analyst, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it now. And then I read it from another analyst and I'm like, it's clear as mud.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing. And you speak to car executives and they say, there's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, it's tricky.
So the one thing I will warn people on is, okay, this vehicle is made on either side of the border. Say a RAV4 is going to go into the United States. It's made in Cambridge, Ontario. And the U.S. has said 25% tariff. The price of the RAV4 is not going to go up 25%. That's
No.
not, I don't think that, my personal opinion, that's not the way it's going to work. These car companies are going to spread the pain out across the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of cars they sell annually on both sides of the border. So their prediction is with steel tariffs, aluminum tariffs, and then car tariffs, and then parts tariffs. So the U.S. is doing parts. Canada has exempted parts. The price on both sides of the border is going to go up.
But from what I'm reading, the vehicles that I mentioned are part of the agreement and that you should be okay with those models.
I've searched for this, which cars will be 100% compliant. It's hard to know.
It's tough.
Yeah.
New viewer here, love your videos. I'm currently leasing a 2022 VW Tiguan. The size and interior are great, but I don't want to hold on to it long term. I have a 3-year-old, so would like a similar size SUV, but a hybrid. I test drove the Mazda CX-50 and love the interior, but it's not quite big enough for our family. Looking to purchase soon. Any recommendations? You are right, that CX-50, which if you are putting car seats in the rear seat, I just wouldn't recommend. It's just tight, especially if you have somebody big sitting in the front seat, like a taller person. So there are other options,
there's
which
others.
are great, and they are the biggest in the compact class.
Okay, I'm going to let Andrea do that. So these are compact. So the Tiguan is a compact SUV.
Yes.
Andrea's going to give you the alternatives, the biggies, and I'm going to give you another alternative, which is one class up.
Okay, so you've got the Kia Sportage Hybrid and the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid. Both of those offer, oh wow, such a quiet cabin. The rear seat is so spacious and the seats recline. They actually have a handle to recline the seats. My mom owns a Tucson plug-in hybrid and she is loving it. The other one, which gets up there in price, is the Honda CR-V Hybrid. Very spacious as well.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest one class up, okay? So I'm not sure, you said you got a 3-year-old?
Yeah.
You might want to future-proof if you have another child coming in the next few years, is get a vehicle maybe with but not the biggest, but a 3-row SUV, like just a regular Highlander, not a Grand Highlander, a Toyota Highlander hybrid, returns amazing fuel economy and has loads of room, and then you're future-proofed if you do have another kid.
Yeah, and the fuel economy on that larger Highlander vehicle,
Amazing.
even with the 3rd row, is excellent. We're going to do one quick one. Any update on the launch of the new Honda Passport in Canada? It's already on dealership lots south of the border. It is. Right now, Honda is trying to figure out the tariffs, going back to tariffs, and how this affects the passport and pricing. So they actually haven't announced the pricing in Canada yet because they're going through that. Once again, you got to go through all the parts of the vehicle, and how is that going to affect the pricing of the vehicle? So they're holding off on that for now. The last I heard from the Honda team in Canada is that we should be able to drive it in the press fleet in the summer. I know.
Why? Just annoying.
That's it.
That seems to be the way with Honda. We gotta wait. What are you gonna do? All right, so that's it for 169.
Yeah.
How do you get a question in, Andrea?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.